Trump's campaign team has announced it wants to file yet another lawsuit to halt the counting of ballots in the battle state of Nevada. Alleging irregularities, the campaign wants access to observe the counting and ensure that every legal vote is counted. This follows a court victory to gain access to Philadelphia vote counting. Now, the race in Nevada remains narrow, with Joe Biden leading in the state with an estimated 1/4 of the ballots still to be counted.
We knew these rolls were unclean, and we were told that signatures would save us from all fraud. But to date, we still have not been able to observe these signatures or meaningfully challenge a single mail-in ballot out of hundreds of thousands of casts. We firmly believe that there are many voters in this group of mail-in people that are not proper voters. In the last many days, we have received reports of many irregularities across the valley. We believe that there are dead voters that have been counted. We are also confident that there are thousands of people whose votes have been counted that have moved out of Clark County during the pandemic. Today, we have a voter, Jill Stokey, who was denied access to vote. She showed up to vote, and she was told someone had already cast her ballot, and she was denied the opportunity to vote. We are filing in federal district court here in Las Vegas. We're asking for emergency relief, TRO, and injunctive relief. We're asking the judge due to all of these irregularities, to stop the counting of improper votes.
The campaign further claims that they have evidence that non-residents took part in the election.
Ballots are not automatically legal votes until they're checked. We are not being allowed to check. The Harry Reid machine recklessly threw ballots into the mail, and now we cannot check whether or not there are non-residents, which we have evidence, publicly available evidence, that you all in the media should be also looking at. It's publicly available information that non-residents have voted. There's a 30-day residency requirement in the state of Nevada. If you haven't been in the state for 30 days, it is illegal to vote. Reporters have a responsibility. The fact is, we are filing this federal lawsuit to protect legal voters. It is unacceptable in this country to have illegal votes counted, and that is what's happening in the state of Nevada.
Presidential candidate Joe Biden is getting closer to the White House, or is he, as elections are officially continuing to be counting. A handful of states that will determine the outcome, and while Donald Trump pursues a recount and challenges results in battleground states. Voice of America White House Bureau Chief Steve Herman joins me now to unpack this a little bit further. Steve, good evening, and it's good to have you with us here on the Newsfeed Late Night. Lots of ground to cover with you. I'm glad we could be talking to you today. Steve, let's talk first about what we're hearing coming through as far as Georgia is concerned. It seems that the Trump lawsuit has been dismissed there. Can you confirm that for us?
Yes, it is one of a number of legal actions being filed by the Trump campaign that are being quickly dismissed. I can tell you that the Joe Biden campaign is not at all worried about these legal filings, calling them frivolous, that they don't have any standing, and they are certainly not going to affect the vote counting or the outcome of the election. But a lot of distractions coming from the Trump campaign, these lawsuits, statements from the campaign, and then tweets by the president himself saying stop the counting, stop the fraud, Twitter attaching warnings onto those tweets. The Biden people are seeing this as a desperate attempt to distract from what has been a very smooth process in their eyes, and a process that within a matter of hours or days will show that Joe Biden will become the 46th president of the United States.
Talk to us then about the disputes that are being brought about in Nevada. It looks like the Trump camp is disputing 10,000 votes there, and they've filed a lawsuit. Is there any basis for the attack that the Biden camp is seeing right now? I mean, they are, for example, challenging absentee votes. We do know that actually even the Trump camp itself did some absentee voting.
Yes, I'm actually one of those absentee voters in the state of Nevada. I reside in Virginia, but I've always kept a residency in Nevada, and I was one of those from Virginia who sent in my ballot that's mailed to my address here in Virginia. What there would have to be is proof that those Nevada voters from out of state actually voted in another state as well. Now, the challenge is once you put your ballot into a secrecy envelope and then it's separated. So whether there's any practical way to figure that out or what evidence they have of that, they're blaming this on an organized effort by the former Speaker, the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, who's retired. There's really been no evidence. Reporters tried to ask Richard Grinnell and others to provide some evidence, and they just sort of went away from that event, as you were showing in the video, and did not answer any questions, saying it's up to the media to find this out and ask the officials about it. But as of this hour, there's no evidence of that, and we'll see what happens with the judges when they hear this filing.
As of this hour, what are the numbers telling us? Moments ago, I think a little bit earlier on, we saw Joe Biden with a 49.3% lead, while Trump was trailing behind at 48.7% in Nevada. Is that enough? And what other counties still have to come in? And what kind of change are those going to bring?
Right. So actually, the two largest counties in Nevada, Clark County, where Las Vegas is located, and Washoe County, which is the Reno-Sparks metropolitan area, are seen as favoring Biden, and Clark County especially. So the more votes that come in from those two counties, which compose about 90% of the population of the state, it would seem quite difficult for Trump to all of a sudden reverse that. So Nevada seems secure. Arizona as well. Seems like it's in the Biden camp. Nothing official yet, but if Arizona and Nevada hold for Joe Biden, that would put him at 270 electoral votes, the exact number that he would need to become president.
Now, does it really matter? Because what we are seeing here in South Africa is different news outlets calling it differently. For example, others are already calling the race, if you look at Fox News, while others are taking a little bit of a more cautious approach to calling the numbers.
Yeah, in Arizona, Fox News and the Associated Press have called that for Joe Biden. The Voice of America, we rely on a combination of AP and the Reuters news agency, and Reuters relies on Edison Research. They have not called Arizona. But if we see the major news organizations calling Arizona and Nevada for Biden, that would put him at 270. And then we also are keeping an eye on Georgia. There's a possibility that Joe Biden could catch up in that southeastern state. And then, of course, is Pennsylvania as well. We're waiting for the votes to come in from Philadelphia, predominantly an African-American area, which is seen as overwhelmingly in favor of Joe Biden. So there are other opportunities where for Donald Trump, he really needs to sweep the board here to get to 270 of the remaining.
Talk to us exactly about what that combination would certainly look like. We know that, North Carolina already declared pretty much a Trump state. What else would he need to get to be able to get to the 270?
He would need Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona, I believe. So the path for Joe Biden at this moment is much easier to 270 than it is for Donald Trump. But the president's campaign is feeling that between the combination of the votes that still remain to come in, along with the legal challenges, that the president is going to be the victor. There is quite a bit of skepticism among a lot of people about that. And the Biden campaign is not declaring victory, but they are saying they are confident that when the votes are counted, that Biden will be the winner.
Now, Steve, talk to me then about the protests that we have been seeing. Arizona, we've seen some protests there because of the rumors that votes are not being counted. Detroit, we've seen some protests there of the rumors that the voting count there is fraudulent.
Well, depending on the location, you have people showing up saying, count the votes, or you have people saying, stop the count. So the bottom line is, regardless of who shows up to protest is saying they want the votes counted or they want the vote counting stopped, the votes are going to be counted. This is a process by the states. Individual citizens cannot stop the vote counting. The President of the United States cannot stop the vote counting. The Joe Biden campaign cannot control the vote counting. It is a state process. There are election observers from both parties at these places. There may be minor instances here and there. We may see some recounts, such as in Wisconsin or another state. Recounts, I think, are something we really need to pay attention to. If the difference in the votes is, say, dozens or hundreds, but if it's in the tens of thousands, there's really never been any evidence or history of a recount swinging the number of votes in a different direction.
All right, Steve Herman, thanks for talking to us tonight. I appreciate it. Steve Herman, he is the Voice of America White House Bureau Chief. We continue.